Welcome to the Gay Catholic Hour, a program of news, entertainment, healing, and affirmation brought to you by Dignity New York, an organization serving marginalized Catholics since 1972.
The women and men of Dignity want you to feel right at home, no matter what your sexual orientation: lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered, or straight.
We are all God's children.
Love and marriage go together like a horse and carriage. This I tell you, brother, you can't have one without the other.
Unless you are gay or lesbian or transgendered or bisexual.
Having to contend with the indifference
And our open hostility.
of our political leaders and the church hierarchy. Hi, I'm Chris Cappiello.
And I'm Kathy Carter for the Gay Catholic Hour.
Kathy, our theme tonight is very current. We want to examine from a gay Catholic point of view sexuality, sensuality, and marriage.
Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Oh, come on, you don't mean that.
I will say this. I think I should have the right to make the same decision about marriage as anyone else.
Right. Well, there's lots of great stuff tonight.
So, Chris, is that nun friend of yours going to be here?
I hope not.
Fiddlesticks. I really get a kick out of her.
She kicks, too. Anyway, we've got a full evening, so why don't we just get started?
Our roving reporter, Will Berger, interviews Dignity bigwig Jeff Stone on the marriage issue.
Hello, this is William Berger in a beautiful garden in Chelsea. This is not my apartment. I wish it were. And I'm here talking with Jeff Stone, who is an institution at Dignity New York and a personal role model of mine, actually, which ought to scare the hell out of you, Jeff. Hi.
Yeah, it does.
Good. And we've been talking about the issue of gay marriage, which is very current right now. And Jeff, we've been hearing a lot about this on television, reading a lot in the magazines, and I want to know, is this hype, is this sort of the fashion du jour, or is this a really important issue?
Well, I think it's a really important issue for us, Will, because I think that until we have at least the option of marrying, until we have the right to marry under civil law, we remain, in some sense, second-class citizens.
So you think it's as important as the military issue?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think like the military, not everybody would choose to enter the military, but I think it's something that we all want the right to do if we wanted to do that. And I think marriage is a similar issue, that it's something that we want the right to do, even if we wouldn't personally choose to do it.
Right. And why do you think there is such opposition to gay marriage? Why? Let's put it this way. Why do you think it scares so many people, including many gay people?
Yeah. Well, I think for non-gay people, it goes, right to the heart of their conceptions of themselves and what their relationship is, and there's all this anxiety about the family, and I mean, straight couples have a hard time staying together too, as we all know.
God, no.
And unfortunately, I think a lot of that anxiety is projected onto gay people. I think for gay people, it's a whole issue of, is marriage really a straight institution, or is it an institution that will work for gay people as well, for gay, lesbian, bisexual people?
And what are your thoughts on that, personally?
Personally, I think it is an institution that can work for us. I think that, a lot of people have done critiques of marriage. A lot of feminists have done some very interesting and provocative critiques of marriage, and they've revealed that a lot of marriage isn't necessarily about the relationship between two people. It's always about power as well. It can be about economics, but I think at its heart, it really is the personal relationship between two people. And in fact, I think this is what gay and lesbian people have to offer the straight community, to renew the idea that marriage is about a relationship between two people. I mean, with all the other things that go with it, it may be about, you know, benefits and having a home together and even having children, but it's fundamentally about that relationship between two people.
Now that's a very interesting point. I want to see if I've got that in my pea brain here, because we've been talking about what the institution of marriage can offer us as it exists, and what you're bringing up is what we can offer to the institution of marriage. And because God knows, as it stands now, it's not a perfect institution.
Right.
So tell me a little bit more about that. What do you think we as gay people can offer the jaded and rotting institution of marriage?
Well, I think that because as gay people we haven't had the option to marry and our relationships haven't been recognized, we've had to create those relationships completely on our own with very little social support. And so those relationships have been, in order to survive, they've had to develop certain strengths and resources, and we've had to see what it is about the relationship between two people that makes us want to stay together. And of course, those social supports are very important in helping our relationships develop. So that's one of the things that we, particularly as Catholic gay and lesbian people, are saying not only to the society but to our church also, that, you know, this relationship is good, it is holy. I mean, as Christians, we believe that marriage is a sort of sacred covenant between people that is a kind of mirror of the way that Christ relates to humanity.
That's pretty heavy stuff.
That's pretty heavy stuff. But I think until the general public realizes that gay relationships, though they may be different in some ways, are as positive and as valuable as straight relationships, then I think we won't really have achieved true equality.
I'm loving this. I'm seeing headlines: queers save marriage, proclamations coming out of Rome. It's a whole new idea to me. Okay, now you work with Dignity National, and forgive me, but I forget your exact title, but, well, why don't you tell us?
Well, let's just say I'm on the National Board of Dignity, and I represent the chapters in the states of New York and New Jersey. There are 12 chapters.
I see. It's sort of like the Curia. Okay. And now what is Dignity as a national group doing to promote this issue or promote awareness of it, or, well, you tell me what we're doing.
Well, like a number of groups, we've signed on to the marriage resolution, which I believe was formulated by some people at Lambda Legal Defense, which states that marriage between two people of the same sex, of course, is something that we should have the right to do. Beyond that, we have a member in Hawaii who's on the governor's commission there, which is looking into the consequences and the discrimination that results when two people of the same sex are not allowed to marry. So it's getting very high level attention there, and Dignity is there at that level.
And that's in Hawaii, sort of ground zero of this whole issue.
That is ground zero. I mean, that's where the court decision is going to be coming out of, that is going to let us know where this whole issue is going from here.
Thank you for joining us as we've been exploring the issue of gay marriage. My head is spinning. This issue is much more complicated and far-reaching than I had thought, or than the magazines and periodicals had led me to believe. At Dignity, we are working in support of gay marriage as a civil right, but also as a sacrament within the Catholic Church. It's going to be a very long battle. And keep in touch with us here at the Gay Catholic Hour. We'll keep you posted on this important issue. Thanks.
When I first came here and condoms entered the picture, I giggled. I thought it was a very funny thing for this woman to be doing. And how can I tell my friends that what do you do at JMAC? I wrap condoms. You know, it was very funny. I no longer find it funny. While I'm working with them, I feel that I'm saving lives. This is one of the reasons I'm at JMHC, doing all I can do to help.
In the late 1980s, the United States Bishops' Conference released a new version of the American Bible for Catholics, and in that Bible, in two places in the New Testament, in two of the epistles, they added the words practicing homosexuals to the Bible in lists of people who would not get into the kingdom of heaven. Some Dignity people read these translations and just couldn't believe that this had been done. This never appeared in any Bible up to that point in time. So Dignity formed what we called the Scripture Lectionary Task Force to deal with this issue, and over the course of about 4 years, Dignity worked with different scripture scholars and Bible translators and found that that translation of practicing homosexuals as sinners who would never get into heaven was totally unsupported by the ancient text. There was no way you could translate the original Greek to get that meaning. So eventually Dignity presented an entire report back to the National Conference of Catholic Bishops in which we had statements from scripture scholars and some reflections on the pastoral implications of the translation. And the Bishops' Conference and the Bible publishers agreed to change the Bible back to something that the original Greek could support. I think it was a very exciting victory for us, and also a sign of how people in the church really are committed to the truth. If we can kind of keep working and get to the folks who are open to hearing the truth and to working with us.
And now, let's go to our next segment.
Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve.
Sister Gracie, please, stop that.
All this Tommy wrote about gay marriage. Young man, it's right there in Genesis. God created Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve.
Sister Gracie, you know as well as I do that the church doesn't take the creation myth literally. It was a midrash.
I'll midrash you, you elitist snot.
Now, wait a minute. There are same-sex couples in the Bible. What about Jonathan and David?
Chums, just chums.
Naomi and Ruth?
Purely platonic.
Still, I think...
Adam and Eve, Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, Jacob and Leah, Judah and Tamar, Joseph and Mary. Heterosexual marriages, start to finish.
Even the pigs on Noah's Ark.
You got it, kiddo. Male and female, male and female, male and female. All the way down.
But...
Gotcha this time, Wojciech.
Well, there are some modern scholars who believe that there are two ways to revere Scripture. The old way, the more naive and simplistic way, is to see it as an unchangeable, once-and-for-all kind of thing. A set of instructions cast in stone, so to speak. But there is another way. You can also revere Scripture as a record of a very specific faith community and how they wrestled with the burning moral and religious questions of their time. We honor it not so much for the answers they came up with, but for the example they set for us on our own spiritual journey.
Yes, of course. The difference between spiritual as Scripture as archetype and Scripture as prototype.
Wow, you're really up on your feminist theology.
Don't look so shocked.
Have you ever read Rosemary?